Alright guys, today we got a 2001 Caddy. I believe it's a CTS. It's the North Star system, which would come with the big 4T80E trans. And the problem with this was it has code P0741, which has to do with the torque converter. So we got the okay to open this up. And more than likely what we're going to find with this is in the channel plate, area back here, you know, this whole channel plate area, right in the middle there's a couple of seals. And more than likely we're going to find one of those seals possibly not there anymore, or it's torn, because when I drove this to confirm the converter slip, when this thing was maybe about 90% applied, I had about a 300 RPM slip. And when it's 90% applied, I should have 0 RPM slip, between 0 and 10. And it was like it commanded it, but it wasn't even there. And then after that, it just knocks it right out of lockup, puts the light on. So we're gonna open this up and we're gonna see what's going on with this. But the two most common problems with this trans, I mean, overall it's a very good transmission, but the two most common problems that I see, actually maybe three common problems, are that 741 code, the code for the input sensor is P0715, and another common problem, which I'm going to get into, has to do with there's a bushing on the third clutch drum, and when it wears, the shaft lays down and it leaks out of the axle seal. But let me get a little closer so we can start tearing this thing down. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is going to take this tail off here. We'll close the final drive, but I want to get the speed sensor out. Alright, typical speed sensor. Alright, now we're going to take the tail off. These are wrong size. Well, actually, we got this one is 14 and the rest is 13. Okay, so I'm going to pull the tail. Right here is your tail here. Put that aside. Alright, now we want to get the final drive out, but we got this big tube here. I call this a scavenger tube. So let's take that out. That'll slide right out once we get the bolt out. Okay, all right, now we're going to knock the shaft out. There's a shaft that goes through the whole trans, I guess it would be the output shaft. And that is just got to collapse the ring in the final drive. So I'm just going to put this screwdriver straight through. Okay, and then give it a little pry. Ready? Let's make sure that comes out. going to take this out. Okay, this does unbolt from here, but there's really no need to do anything. I just take it all out as one piece. And so here is your final drive, big sun gear. Okay. I'm going to slide this shaft out. Now this is what I was speaking of before, where this rides, there's a bushing that rides on this right here, and the bushing is located in the third clutch drum. And a lot of times this bushing wears down. It's pretty common, and you can actually move this shaft up and down, and then it's going to lay on the seal when it's worn down, push the seal down, and the fluid leaks out to look like it's leaking from the axle seal. But when you change the seal, it's going to continue to leak because the bushing is no good. So if you ever see that, just you know, move this shaft up and down and just make sure that, see if it's tight or see if it's loose to know what you're dealing with. So that the bushing that's in that third clutch drum, I change on every rebuild. All right, now I'm going to take this back cover off. Here is your dipstick here, right in the back cover. You're going to take these bolts out and expose the valve body, the pump area, and the main filter. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Now this one I have loosened already. You know what, let me get my wrench. Got a couple of different size bolts on this, like for instance, this is a 14 millimeter, you got a little 13 millimeter. Just kind of take note where all these different bolts go. Okay, so that should be it. This, so let's see if we can get this thing off. Fluid looks pretty clean. All right, so here is the end cover, or the side cover. And the gasket for that. All right, we'll put this aside. And now we have, this is your main pump. They actually call it the main pump and the secondary pump. This is your upper valve body and your main filter here. And then of course your channel plate is all this here. So we're going to start by taking the pump off. and this pump shaft slides right out. And this filter also should come right out. All right, you have your lockup solenoid here, which actually is melted. That's really bad. Looks like it's all shorted out. Here's your EPC solenoid, and here is your temp sensor. All right, so I'm just going to disconnect these harnesses. Yeah, it looks like this solenoid is looks like it's fried. Okay, let me just get a hook, release this lock. All right, so we're going to again do the pump area. All right, let me just find my 8mm. Okay, let's see if I can use this to take these out. Now. Pretty much just all the 8mm bolts have come out. There are other bolts coming in this way to hold this all together. Some long ones, some short ones. Okay. Should come out. Okay, so we have, this is like a primary pump and a secondary pump, as they would call it. All right, I can get this thing out of here. All right, you got two pump drives. You got to actually set up pump gears right in here. So this will go in here. You got to set up pump gears in there. You got another set of pump gears here. So this is the primary and secondary pump. Okay, so this should also come off. Oh, there's one more hide under there. Okay. Okay. want to get rid of some of this oil. Just give me a sec. Alrighty, I'm going to pull the upper valve body off. That lockup solenoid is definitely shorted out. So this should come right off. Okay, here's the upper valve body. EPC solenoid again, lockup solenoid, temp sensor, here's an accumulator. You want to check, because sometimes I have seen this spring broken. That looks pretty good. I want to give you a shot of this lockup solenoid. This thing definitely looks like it's fried. Possible that could be our problem. All right, now this separator plate. We got two check wells, one is on, fell out already, goes here, the other one right there. Alright, so the next thing we're going to take off now is the channel plate, all around. So I guess we'll start taking those bolts out. You want to make note of where the studs go. I marked all that before I started filming. I just wanted to mark everything. There's 4 of them, five of them in here. So let's get those out. We got more 13. Okay, now we're going to get the 10s. Okay. Alright. Now let's see how easy this is to come off. This will expose the chain. Got to make sure we feed the harness through. Okay. this. One more. I don't like to force it. You see it's not coming. Gotta be another one. Another 13. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, I like it. So this harness is going to stay, so we've got to pull it through. And here is your channel plate. Okay, we got a bearing here, which would go here. This gasket will come off. What's on there? Alright, well I'll get this one. Here's another one. That's on there too. Alright, well, these are the two seals. This seal feels like it's collapsed. This seal here, and then there's another one here. I'll actually pull it out of the kit and show you what they look like. These are the most common problem for the 741 code. I honestly think that that solenoid must have shorted out and got fried, and that possibly could be the issue. But it does look like this seal possibly could be torn, but I'm going to show you what it looks like in the kit. But these are the two seals that are very common. Should be changed every overhaul to avoid that 741 code. Alright, so let's get rid of this. Let me just put this on the other bench. Okay, so now we have our harness. This also gets fed through to the pan. So I'm going to disconnect from here, which is our input speed sensor. You know what? I'm going to take the O-ring off. So the torque converter. Alright, your typical GM O-ring. Alright, and we're going to slide the chain out and the sprockets. Okay, chain and sprockets. All right, now disconnect this sensor. All right, I just want to clean up this oil one more time. All right. So now let's see if this center support will come out. Okay. Center support. All right, so this is the third clutch drum shaft. This I'm going to pull out the second clutch now. Second clutch. Now what I got to do is I want to take this input speed sensor out. These are just two 8mm bolts. Okay, this is another common failure for a 715 code. So this you want to make sure that you change on the overhauls. And there's a little slot here that gets lined up with the linkage rod to kind of hold the linkage rod where it's supposed to be. Alright, so we'll put that aside. Next thing we got to take out is the band servo. Okay, band servo here, this is 4th gear. Let's see if we can get it with this. Typical band servo. Alright, now let's see if this will slide out. Okay. So we have part of the gear train, reverse input, and third, I'm going to take this band out. Okay, here's your 4th band. Looks in pretty good shape. Alright, so we'll actually go through this stuff after this unit's apart. Let me just take all this stuff, put it over here. Okay, so next, we're going to flip, actually let's get this out here. We got to flip it, take the pan down. This is the status support, you know, front seal. Okay, that'll come right out. Got a seal here, and you got your front seal. Snap ring, but gotta be very careful with this harness. We're going to take the pan down and going to take the lower valve body off. That's going to house the shift solenoids. And there's actually, on the early ones, there's a common problem with the shift solenoids, but this shouldn't have that on a 2001. I mean, early was like 94, 95. The solenoid would break, but they came out with an update, so that always gets installed. But this should already have the update on the 2001. All right, stick the pan out. All right, now we're gonna take the pan off and expose the lower valve body. There's gonna be a couple of scavenger filters in here. There's your pan. Okay, now these filters will come right out. These filters, I mean, as long as the screen isn't torn, honestly, you can clean them and put them back. The main filter that was behind the side cover, I always change that. Okay, so here's the rest of the harness, and this is going to come apart. Okay. Okay, so now this harness actually we can remove with everything. So we're going to first take this little piece off here. This is a, I call it a channel plate. So we'll take that off. See if we can get it with this. Alright, that's all that is. And now we're going to start taking the valve body bolts out. And this linkage clip is a plastic clip. You just got to get it out of the linkage rod. It snaps in. Alright, so I'm just going to pick up the end and snap it out of the rod. Okay, and then this will come right out. That's that. Now we're going to take the bolts out. Okay, so we got these. So we're going to get these. Not all of these have to come out. This one. This is the lower valve body. Here's your two shift solenoids. Here is your, let me put it this way. This is like your MLP, you know, with slides with the linkage. So what gear you're in, and your two shift solenoids. This bracket here holds a filter ring. All right, if you can see that, this bracket holds a filter ring, but this is the update already. But what would happen is actually the solenoid would hold the filter in. And I'm not sure if the filter would build up pressure or what exactly happened, but it would crack the solenoid. It would come out and crack the solenoid, and then you would kind of have like second gear only, maybe no codes. And that was pretty common to happen on the earlier models. And then they came out with this update. So like I said, this is already done, but we're doing all these solenoids, you know, with a unit like this, you don't want to leave nothing out. These are all accumulators here. All this is going to be taken apart. Let's move this out of the way. Okay, here's another seal for that scavenger pipe. Seal for that. All right, here's a shell. All right, now we're going to take these two center support bolts out. And we're going to take this a heavy snap ring, and I believe this whole section slides out. All right, so let's get the center support out. So 14. All right, just wanted to get rid of the oil one more time. Okay, so we just got pretty much the forward drum set up left, and I'm going to take this. First, let me take the park gear out, the parking ball. This out of the way. Okay. All right, now before I forget, I gotta put this back over. And this fitting here is gonna have to come out. Okay, because that has a little, goes into the center support, probably for lube. All right, and now we're going to take this snap ring out. And we're going to take the big snap ring out. Slide this out. Got a bearing here. Now let's put this back around. All right, here's the planet. This is what the forward and coast clutches go into. We've got a spray here. And of course a bearing here. Okay, now the forward drum, so that's going to come out this way. All right. Got a heavy snap ring here, so let's see if we can get that out. So we'll work it around. I'm sure you guys can see. All right, so I got to work this thing around. Pretty heavy snap ring here. Okay. This snap ring, I believe, is the same on both sides. Now this will come out. Okay. And now this should come out. There is the low band, but that should stay in the case. But this thing is so heavy. This setup, I'll take it out now, is about 60 pounds. I gotta kind of try to push it. Boy. Okay, you know what? Let's try this. Alright, you got your, this here has a sprig, this is the low sprig, so it's turning one way, locking the other, then you have your forward and coast clutches. Okay, and then you have your low band, which is in very nice shape. Alright, so let me get straightened out here. I want to get rid of this case, and we're going to take this stuff apart, check all these frictions out. Alright, so I will be right back. Alright, so I'm going to start with the forward and coast clutch. We'll open that up. Take a look at the frictions. This is a heavy snap ring. Alright, these are the forwards. These actually look in pretty nice shape. But these forwards, I think I had a couple issues on some other ones that I've done where these clutches were actually flaking. So I'm going to change them. I mean, again, with this 4080, thing takes 3/4 of a day to come out of the car. So you don't really want to skimp on anything. Okay, the coast clutch. Very nice. Okay, now we're going to take this drum off. Okay, you got a bearing here. This is the race, the inner race. Here is the support, here is the low sprig, and you got some sealing rings. All right, next we have the reverse input. The fourth band rides on this drum. I have another sprig for second gear. Okay. Only 2 frictions in here. Don't look too bad. Okay, real quick with the center support, just a note on that. We looked at the intermediates. These don't look too bad, but again, gonna change them. Now on the center support, you have a valve in here. You just want to make sure this valve is free. So I don't like to put this particular part in the wash tank. Because of this valve, I don't want it to stick. So that's that. All right, now let's look at this third drum. Now this I got to take apart. We got a bearing and a washer, but I got to just reposition. I got to do this here. All right, so let's take this apart. This is the third clutch drum. Got a snap ring. Okay, we got a little sun gear here. Got a washer. Planet. Let me do it over here. There's some room. Okay. Sun gear, shell, another bearing, third clutch hub. You got a washer here. You want to be careful not to lose that. Okay, and it goes right on here. Right, it's in the third clutch hub. Put that aside. And now let's check these frictions. Okay, so this we're going to move aside. This we're going to put here. Molded piston in there. Well, the molded pistons get changed. Overall, the clutches aren't bad. But I think the problem with this was definitely that lock-up solenoid. And I'll tell you, I think that's actually the first time I've seen that solenoid get fried and that seal not be pretty much be intact. Normally the seal is gone. Okay, so these are the seals. I don't know if you can see in here the seal is here, which seals the converter oil, and the seal in here, which seals the converter oil. And they ride okay, the larger seal rides here, the smaller seal rides here. And then one of the most common things that I see in almost every one of them that comes in with a 741 code is this seal is either torn or this seal isn't even there anymore. But it looks like this one, looks like this thing definitely shorted out. It's all melted here. Looks like the plastic melted. It got very hot. So I would say this is probably our issue. And what else we got? You know, I guess that's really about it for this 4T80. Again, had a 741 code. Converter was not even attempting to lock up. And okay, you know what? There is one more thing I did want to show you. I was mentioning about the bushing is in here. This is the third clutch drum. Again, the bushing is in here that this rides on. Okay, so this is gonna go through this way. All right, and you want to make sure that this actually isn't bad. I mean, this thing just has a tiny bit of movement, but being the fact that I'm overhauling it and it's for a very good wholesale account, and it's the way I work anyway, this bushing is going to be changed. But you want to make sure this shaft does not move up and down. Okay, very common problem, to the point where there's a company out there called Omega Machine. They make the bushing kits for like the ZF units, the 6HP19s and the 26s. They make just this particular bushing that you can buy instead of buying an entire bushing kit, because it's not sold separately. Probably if you go to deal, you got to buy the drum and you got to buy a bushing kit. I'm not sure how much that is, but the one single bushing is probably $10 or $15. You got to figure a bushing kit's probably 3 times that amount. So that's how common it is for this bushing to go bad. And I guess that's about it. Okay, one more note on the center support. This is the other seal for the scavenger pipe. It goes right in here. Okay, so this seal will come out. And of course it's going to be changed. And that's it, 2001 1480 Cadillac CTS with the North Star. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good day.